no matter how much they like to admit it or how much they make it known, that everyone wants to know and be known. And I think a lot of times in this society where we're pretty selfish, it's often abused. Think about the last fight you had with a person. You might have blamed them for this or that, and they would have fired back. I know that when someone asks me how I feel when I'm in the middle of a fight, I go at it like, I feel like he is this way and that, and he's irresponsible, he doesn't care, all this. But the way that I feel isn't supposed to be the way that I think that this person is. I think that that's a rotten part of our human nature. We get caught in our anger and our conceptions about things and just become so allegiant to this opinion, no matter what. Instead, I think it's better to choose empathy and to know and be known. When I considered my own misconceptions and barriers that I had existing in my life and maybe about people that I didn't know very well, I just thought of all the stuff that's happening with refugees in the world today. I decided I wanted to get to know better the refugees in Denver by talking with them, by serving them and researching and just discovering everything that had to do with refugees. I hope to find courage in their stories by going out and pursuing their stories and reduce the fear that I had or maybe other people had in the statistics that were circulating. I attended a couple awareness nights that helped you get ready to volunteer with refugees, and I learned a lot. I actually made this relationship with an organization called ACC, the African Community Center, and I decided to help serve with this group of women who are part of a sewing circle. And it just helps them learn how to sew, how to make stuff that they can be proud of and own worth in. And it's a really amazing organization. Obviously, I'm really passionate, but yeah. And then I also, if you can go to the next slide. Yeah, these are really, really touching experiences, so might be. But I helped serve at a playground ministry for refugees and just little kids who are from everywhere around the world. And that was also really amazing, just seeing the fun and the joy that they could show and just the innocence of a kid who can play no matter what's going on at home. Next one. Then I also went with my friend and my dad to attend a Thanksgiving event for refugees, and a lot of them, it was their first year in America, and it was their first Thanksgiving they'd ever had, and it was just this awesome mix of cultures and food and dancing, and yeah, it was awesome. Yeah. Oh, sorry. No, back, sorry. I was doing this in the midst of the election, and a lot of fear and conceptions were circulating about refugees, and also, it was within me too. Even though I did all these experiences, I'm not going to say that I was completely courageous and just going out and wanting to serve the refugees. I was also scared by some of the stuff that was being talked about. But I realized that some people serve, but a lot of the Christians that I knew just were focused on maybe making a stand, that kind of fighting mentality on their political stance or whatever that was. That I realized from talking to the refugees that they're just like us. They're leaving their family, their culture, their language from their home, and it's just really hard for them. And I think that sometimes we don't really make the effort to know that about them. The refugees I talked to are actually part of a minority. They're kind of alone here in America because last year, 65.3 million forcibly displaced people in the world. Out of that, only 107,000 were resettled, actually. So it's not like they're just coming. The people who come here are in dire situations and their lives were in danger. I believe that we should love our neighbor, which is the refugee. Deuteronomy says that you should defend the cause of the orphan and the widow and love the foreigner residing among you. You are to love those who are foreigners, for you yourselves were foreigners in Egypt. I went to an event at Denver Seminary just learning about refugees, and it provided some Christian perspective on it. And the word foreigner in Hebrew is actually ger, and it means someone who left their home country because of crisis. So the word foreigner in this Bible verse doesn't completely capture it. The people that God is talking about are actually refugees, and the original refugees that God is talking about were the Israelites, and those were God's chosen people. So I just find a lot of comfort and encouragement that God's chosen people were refugees. So fast forward to second semester when I was supposed to research and find out more about a career that I was interested in. I thought about health and medicine. I shadowed under a physical therapist, and I actually went to Estes Park and got wilderness and remote first aid and CPR certified, which is a lot. It's a mouthful. But this is something that connected with health and medicine, connected with my interests, and it was something that I've just wanted to do for a long time. And here it is. We made a stretcher out of aspen trees, which is pretty awesome. And in Estes Park, I was talking to this guy about some of my interests, what I was doing, and he told me about environmental scientists and how much of his friends work in Rocky Mountain National Park and what they're doing and the possibilities with that. And this just struck a lot of interest in me and just a lot of like what I'm passionate about and what I love doing. I also then decided that I would research about that career and try and find a Christian perspective on some of the stuff about the environment and issues about that. I love the outdoors. Anytime I can go out and ski or snowshoe or hike or do anything in the mountains, I'm all over it. It just makes me feel like a better person, and like it gets me really passionate. But I actually never thought about volunteering or giving back to the parks and trails or anything like that. I wasn't a very environmentally conscious person. I just the only places I recycle are at my home and in Miss Matthew's room, the only teacher with a recycling bin in this whole school. When I researched about how a Christian should respond to some of the issues with the environment and how a Christian could be an environmental scientist, I didn't find very much of a response. I can't believe that this is trivial, though, in a Christian life, because Genesis goes through that man was created in God's image to rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air, over the livestock, over all the earth, and over all the creatures that move along the ground. I read this verse, and it inspires me to go outside, because I think earth is full of the knowledge of the Lord. I think so, and also the Bible says so. But, and I think by going outside, we can just learn more about the Lord and his nature and what he does. And I think that we're not supposed to neglect the responsibility that God has placed on us to take care of the environment. With me, sometimes just careless littering just because of laziness or, just neglecting it out of selfish ambition and just thinking it's minor. I realize that some division exists in the Christian community, and that this lacking of like conservation ideals exist in the Christian community. And I found a little fear in pursuing this, because given my background and everything, I was worried that I was going to learn about this and discover that I was a hippie or I like believed in global warming or something. And I just think that the fact of this is like, it's absurd. But here's where I make a crazy connection between refugees and the environment is here. Why am I angry or lazy, and why are we angry or lazy about caring for the environment? And at these volunteer orientations or these volunteer events for the refugees, why didn't I see more pastors or Christians helping out? I think back to our fighting mentality and how sometimes us humans, we miss true personal understanding to know and be known by other people and just pursuing that. This lack of empathy and actual action is what causes the fracture between Christians and some of these issues. To know and be known lies in several places in this experience for me. I learned generosity from Tintin, a refugee who is just really passionate about teaching sewing. And when me and my mom went there and volunteered with her, she made us chai tea, just like she would make it in Thailand, and wanted to share her story and everything. I learned stewardship and appreciation as I decided to register as a volunteer for the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Department. And I learned vibrancy and joy on the dance floor at Thanksgiving, at the first Thanksgiving event for refugees. And I provided a video just to give you guys, I can tell you as much as I want to, but it's seeing it that kind of makes the difference, I think. There's not a whole lot of sound on this. The music there, it was like constant transition from African music to this like hip hop, like Middle Eastern, and everyone was just going crazy. And as you can see, there's so many different types of people, so many different types of colors, and I don't know, it was just an awesome experience, and I hope you guys can kind of get that out of that. That guy was going ham in the orange. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's awesome, and I think that this is vibrancy, and I want to pursue a life of vibrancy, and I want to know, and I want to let others be known. So my challenge is, I challenge you guys to volunteer. It really changes your perspective in whichever direction you go, and it may seem like a hassle, it may seem scary. I know I was scared. But it's super easy. You just go, you find something that you're passionate about, you shoot an email and ask how you can help, how you can learn. Yeah, I think for some of the students and some of my D group girls and everything, I know that sometimes there's a bitterness about Go, and I'll admit to this sometimes, but don't get too caught up in what Go is and what volunteering is, because when you find something by choice and what you're passionate about, it's really a totally different experience, and this is what I had found. I also really think that there should be more Christian activists. Instead of arguing or debating about certain things, what about we put the effort into trying to know and be known by the victims of these subjects, or just the people surrounding them, and actually act upon it. I was guilty before this, and I know that my heart has been changed a lot by this whole experience, and I think just Christians should be out there serving more. Because of this experience, I don't want to live a life of ignorancy or complacency. I want this vibrancy. I want to be out there. I want to know the people. I want to know what's out there. I want to learn about the environment and go outside and do all the things. And I just want to be that obvious Christian advocate for the widow, for the orphan, and for the refugee, and for all of God's creation.
So if anyone has any questions for Grace, now would be the time to ask, and you can kind of ask her as you have questions. Where was this?
It was at the Greek Basilica downtown, and they actually just hosted it. They do it annually, and ACC, the African Community Center, put it on. So yeah, it just gets bigger and bigger each year. It was like, I don't know, 700? Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah. Yes.
What was your least favorite thing, Grace, about
My least favorite.
Yeah, about the working with the refugee
Right. I don't know. It's not necessarily a least favorite thing. Something that I misunderstood and something that kind of like, I don't know, draws at me is like, you don't realize, like being at the volunteer orientations and being at everything and learning about it, it's not as simple as just like coming out there and asking this refugee, like, what have you been through and all this stuff? Like, what was that like for you? Like, it's like, it's a really touchy subject, and there's a lot of hurt, and I don't know, that just hurt my heart, and it's just a hard thing to navigate, I think, and so, yeah. Yes? It was super random, to be honest. I was struggling with like what I was gonna do, and I knew like this whole thing, like I said, like misconceptions and barriers, and I wanted to get past that. And I knew my virtue, I wanted it to be courage, and I'd heard about it a little bit. We went and toured ACC before our practicum group went to Africa, and so I just remembered that, and I remembered that little spiel and like how that had like touched my heart, and I was like, I kind of wanted to like do this more, and like this is an opportunity, so yeah.
Where were most of the refugees from geographically, and were they economic refugees? Are they refugees from war? Are they
Right.
political refugees?
It was a big mix. There's, I think, it depends. Denver, so the way they resettle refugees is they try and put them in where they have pockets where they know the refugee might succeed. So most of the refugees worldwide are from like Afghanistan, Syria, Middle East. But here in Denver, we actually have a high population of Nepalese people from Nepal, and some from the Middle East, and yeah, it's just a lot of different, and also their backgrounds are completely different. Like Tintin, who we met, was from Thailand, and she was, there was something going on with education, and like the way where she was, she couldn't be educated without being persecuted, and her life was in danger because of that. And that's like, you usually hear like the buzzwords like, you know, war and just all that, but just there's all these different crises, and everyone has a different story. And so yeah, I didn't see a majority, but yeah.
It's not a question, it's a comment. I'm incredibly proud of you, Grace.
Thanks.
Okay, if we don't have any more questions, end of the presentation. So thank you everyone for coming. The next presentation starts at 1:05.